And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we are talking about the offseason report card for the Washington Commanders. We're going to be talking about them and the rest of the division and what the outlook is going to look like for the Washington Commanders heading into this upcoming season. But before we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. Just like Jayden Daniels is going to be hitting Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and many others for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it as we're talking about the offseason report card. And so if you want to go check this out, you can look on Bleacher Report here. This is under Kristopher Knox, who writes this, and he puts a grade on all 32 teams. And so I'll go over the Washington Commanders, and then we'll go back over what he gave the rest of the division as far as their grades. And so with the Commanders, he gave us a B+. He gave us a B+ overall. He also gave us a B+ in free agency and a B with the draft grade. And going into this article, you can go and read it for yourself, but he talks about just the importance of the Washington Commanders making the move to get Laremy Tunsil, talks about the importance of getting Josh Connolly Jr. in the draft, Deebo Samuel, and then also, too, talking about Trey Amos and how he is going to factor into things. And so let's start there. And so starting with the defense, I think that this was a key point for the Washington Commanders, and I love where we're at here because defensively we knew that this was a team that definitely needed to get better. One of the things that is talked about in that article was that the Washington Commanders were 28th as far as yards per carry. And so talking about Will Harris, Jonathan Jones, Trey Amos, Eddie Goldman, Dietrich Wise, and then also to Javon Kinlaw. All those players are going to factor into the Washington Commanders, who essentially reshaped the defense. And so I expect for the Commanders defense to be even better than what it was a season ago. And I just think that with Trey Amos, I think everything translates for him, or at least I'm hoping it does. I think that then you're going to start to make offenses one-dimensional. I think that that really helps the Washington Commanders there. And I just really hope that with Javon Kinlaw, with Eddie Goldman, I think that these type of additions are going to help the Commanders really plug up the leaks that they had in the running game. And so I'm hoping that that is the case for the Commanders. I'm thinking that also, too, just the fact that, we're going to be able to throw a lot of bodies at offenses now. I think that you're going to see a lot of this versatility from all these defenders that the Washington Commanders have brought over. And so I think that this is going to be the time that you see the Commanders maybe have the most versatile defense that we've saw in quite some time. And so I do like that. I'm right on par with the preseason, or with the grades that we've got so far with the Washington Commanders with a B+. I think that that's solid. So next, I just want to go into what was done on the offensive side of the ball. And so when you're talking about Laremy Tunsil, and then you're talking about Josh Connolly Jr., it makes me think of just what is coming for the Washington Commanders. And so this was an article that I saw on Rigo's Rag, and it was talking about the Washington Commanders really having a double-edged sword now with the national exposure. And so within this article, it lists the 8 games that the Washington Commanders have that essentially are going to be prime time. You got the Packers week 2, week 6, we got the Bears. You see it's on Monday Night Football, Chiefs Monday Night Football, Seahawks Sunday Night Football, heading international there to Madrid to play the Dolphins. You got the Broncos on Sunday Night Football, Eagles Saturday, and then Christmas Day, week 17, you got the Cowboys there. And you see week 16, week 17, that's going to be tough because you're talking about going against divisional opponents. And so, in talking about Laremy Tunsil and then going back to like Josh Connolly Jr., Deebo Samuel, I just think that when you look at what Adam Peters did, it's almost like he got ahead of what was coming for the Washington Commanders. And so I do agree that, look, there's going to be more pressure on the Commanders. I think teams know what Jayden Daniels is going to do. But I do believe that with what Adam Peters has done with the offensive line, I think we have the guys that can protect our franchise quarterback. So you love that with what, Adam Peters has done there. Next, Look, I think that another thing that I love about what Adam Peters went out and did is just going out there and getting some more weapons for Jayden Daniels. I think that by going out and getting Deebo Samuel, I really feel like that he's going to be in a situation now where he doesn't have to be the primary wide receiver. And I think that that's going to unlock Deebo Samuel. I know that there's a lot of people out there that say that, look, Deebo, it looks like that maybe he's kind of going on a little bit of a decline because of the injuries and things like that. I don't think that that was the case. I think that when you look at that 49ers team that he came from, there were injuries across the board. I think the responsibility kind of got put a lot more onto him. And I just think that now he comes into a situation here where the team is, I think, more complete than the 49ers were last season. And I think just trending in the right direction here. He gets to an offensive coordinator that is going to try to utilize him in several different ways and not just necessarily limit him to just running the football from the backfield. Not saying that that was the case with the 49ers, but I think that you're going to see a lot more scheming for him as a wide receiver. And I think that with Jayden Daniels, his ability to buy time, his ability to just put the ball, on a rope and really place it in your hands, I think that, man, this is going to be electric to see it. So I just love the fact that Adam Peters goes out and gets a primary weapon via trade. And then also, too, via the draft. I think that you have got to love what Adam Peters did there, because we're not necessarily talking as much as we should about Jalen Lane. I think that he's going to be an outstanding addition for this offense, and I really do think that he has a chance to be a real impact player. I've talked about him in comparison to a Jamison Crowder, but just a lot more speed, a lot more athleticism, and I think he has the potential to really make a splash early on in the kick return game. And so, look, I think he's going to get on the field. I think paired with Jayden Daniels, that's going to give us another dimension to the offense. And then also, too, I think that when you look at Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I think that he has the potential to really be this upgrade that we've been looking for in the running back room, because I know the Washington Commanders have been linked to an edge. They've been linked to a running back, and I think quietly they got the running back that maybe they needed that fell to them due to the fact that he did not get a chance to play last season. And so I think that everything that Adam Peters has done has been perfect. One of the things that's talked about here in this particular article was just that, even with just the 5 picks that the Commanders have, just the ability to go out there and really maximize what they did in the draft was just pretty good there. And so a B+, I'm with that. I think he's right on par here. I probably would have gave it an A- being the fan here that I am. But, I just think that, look, he's right on par with where we are with the grades and things like that. And I really do think that the Washington Commanders are set to really have a huge impact. Now, one of the things that he does point out here is that, look, we did have Jeremy Lin, who left, also to Dante Fowler Jr., who's our top edge rusher with the sacks, and then Jonathan Allen, which I think a lot of people knew that was going to happen. But again, building the offensive line just for the now and the future was huge, and then also to upgrading the defense. And so quickly just jumping over to other things that was said here in this article. And so the Eagles, he gave them a B overall. He talks about them being prepared for the future. And I will say that the Eagles, I think, did a great job as far as the draft and preparing for that. The Cowboys, he gives them a C+. One of the things that he talks about with them is just the trade with George Pickens, which, again, when you're looking at Adam Peters being ahead of this thing, he's already got Trey Amos. You have also, too, Marshawn Lattimore on the other side. So, again, the Commanders, I think, prepared for the duos that they're going to face from other teams, wide receivers and things like that. But we'll see how it plays out on the field. Then next, when you look at the Giants, he gave the Giants an A. And I think it's funny because he gave it to them based off what they have on paper. But he says, don't go ahead and anticipate that they're going to be the top of the division or anything like that. And so I'm with that, too. I think that he's right on par. I think that the Giants, if you look at them on paper, yes, they've gotten better there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be something that translates to the field just yet. But with the Washington Commanders, look, I think that it's proven. It's a proven formula with what Adam Peters has done. I think it's a proven formula so far with these players. And this is going to be a huge test. Again, we're going to be on national television a lot more. There's a lot more, pressure on the Washington Commanders with the NFL draft coming. We got the stadium coming. We know that Jayden Daniels is really poised to really be maybe the face of this league here very soon, especially when you look at some of these matchups that are coming up, especially when you look at the Chiefs, the Bears. Like, that's all about quarterback play. You got Jordan Love out there. So going to get some elite quarterbacks, Eagles, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott there at Christmas Day. And so, look, I think that there's some real potential where he puts his stamp on the league even more. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here. Do you agree with this grade that was in Bleacher Report? Again, the Washington Commanders got a B+. You got the Cowboys, they got a C+. Giants got an A due to what they did and just looking good on paper. And then you got the Eagles, who got a B for preparing there for the future of what they did in the drafts. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.